Excellent. Thank you guys so much for coming out today on this very hot day. Right here in New Brunswick at the Rutgers Public Safety Building. It really is an honor to have all you guys here. I just want to thank you guys for coming out and showing your support for Charlie. You know, he's a wonderful, wonderful individual and a really great candidate that New Brunswick deserves. But I also want to take a second to thank you guys for coming out, because it's really about, you know, us citizens here and non-citizens of New Brunswick coming together in order to enact the positive change that we want to see occur in our city and in our community, okay? So I just want you guys to give a big round of applause for Mr. Charlie Kratovil, our next mayor of New Brunswick.
Thank you, New Brunswick. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming out. I want to start by wishing you all a very happy Labor Day. We're here on this special day to celebrate the working people whose contributions make our city, our country, and our society so great. I really want to, for all of you, to thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here on this holiday. Of course, today also marks the unofficial beginning of the traditional campaign season, and I'm pleased to report we've already scored a number of victories as we continue building the movement for change here in New Brunswick. And now that things are picking up, we'll be doing a lot more events like this one. So today we should also take some time to reflect on the contributions that working people make to our society day in and day out, and to acknowledge the many milestones of progress that the labor movement has achieved here, progress that we all benefit from. Now, we're here in front of the Rutgers University Public Safety Building today to celebrate the first success of this campaign. When I declared my candidacy for mayor almost 3 months ago, you may remember that I was opposed to the city government's proposal to privatize our 911 dispatch service. I explained to the City Council that this move would have a long-term detrimental impact on public safety. I reiterated my suggestion to them that they should consider working with Rutgers to keep this important public service in the public sector and keep it based in our city. And I lobbied our police director to do exactly that. Well, the city ultimately took my advice. The dispatchers became Rutgers employees, and as of last week, the City of New Brunswick's 911 calls are now being fielded in the state-of-the-art facility right behind me. So that's our first victory to be proud of. The 8 dispatchers who wanted to keep their positions have transitioned to Rutgers employment without missing a single day of work or losing their benefits. By all accounts, this partnership is a success, and its implementation is a big win for the community and for our movement. So I want to thank my opponent and his administration for making the right decision here. They deserve credit for negotiating and implementing this shared services agreement. However, I have to take issue with my opponent's campaign for their false accusations about this development. As I like to say, video does not lie. And you can go to the city's website and watch for yourself as I propose a 911 dispatch partnership with Rutgers University at the April 18th City Council meeting. So though you can understand why I was confused to see my opponent's campaign issue a tweet, one of his first tweets ever, calling my statements about our successful advocacy, quote, false and, quote, misinformation. I want to reiterate that no matter what my opponent's PR team says, this partnership is a victory for our movement, the first of many on the campaign trail, and something that ought to be celebrated by all involved. We have one former New Brunswick dispatcher who went from being an hourly employee to becoming a salaried staff member here at our state university, and 7 other dispatchers. 7 other dispatchers who became Rutgers staff. These workers received an average raise of $593 to their annual salaries, and because they remain in the public sector, they were able to stay in the state pension system. But of course, this victory is about more than just those workers. Most importantly, the people of New Brunswick can count on the fact that when they call 911 to report an emergency, the call will be handled by someone who knows the area, knows it well, and is working in a facility based right here in our community. I'm sure you can imagine why it's important that our 911 dispatchers know the difference between Bishop Street, just one block that way, and Bishop Place, which is almost a mile away on a completely different campus. Because we defeated this attempt at privatization, when seconds count, no time will be wasted by connecting your emergency call to a private, out-of-state corporation whose workers may not be qualified or familiar with the complex geography of our great city. And so as we celebrate this success, I want you to know that it's just the first of many new partnerships that you can expect to see between the city government here and the largest institution that calls New Brunswick home. If you elect me, we'll work with partners like Rutgers to develop creative, common sense solutions that will save taxpayers money, improve the services we offer to the public, and as an advocate for working people, you can count on me to make sure that our public workers are always protected in these partnerships. The other reason we're here today is because I'm proud to announce that I will support immediately raising the wages of our lowest paid city government workers to combat poverty and runaway inequality, to improve the city's ability to recruit and retain quality staff, and to show solidarity with campaigns to raise the minimum wage for all workers. Now, I believe that everyone here in New Jersey deserves a living wage. It's an expensive state to live in, and our city is no exception. In fact, it's especially expensive to live here in New Brunswick. So I pledge to you today that I will do everything I can to advance the cause of working people here in New Brunswick, not just our city workers, but all working people. I was disappointed to learn that my opponent heads an operation that pays some of its workers just $8.60 per hour. Not a penny more than New Jersey's bare minimum wage. This, even after he supported the election of Governor Phil Murphy, who has proudly shared his vision for a $15 an hour statewide minimum wage. Now, that's a vision that I personally share, but New Brunswick's government is not setting a good example or practicing what they preach. In fact, they continue to pay workers far below what it costs to live here, and therefore they are part of the problem. In recent months, the city has failed to heed requests from the community to increase the pay for our city's crossing guards. Community advocate Danielle Moore has repeatedly asked them to increase that rate to ensure that we have enough guards for the new school year and the new opening of the Robeson Elementary School. But they have declined and dismissed this suggestion. As of July 1st, there were nearly 150 city employees who earned less than $15 per hour, including 50 crossing guards who work hard to keep our kids safe at some very dangerous intersections here. Now, I've joined Danielle at city council meetings, Board of Education meetings, and traffic commission meetings, where she has been pushing for those crossing guards to get a raise, specifically so that we're not short-staffed when school starts later this week. And these calls have been met with responses like, "We'll take that under advisement." Now, contrary to the stagnant status quo, my administration will introduce an ordinance to raise the wages of these city employees to at least $15 per hour within 3 years. Those who are currently earning $12.50 or more per hour, including all of our crossing guards, will immediately be given raises that will lift their wages to $15 or more per hour. Under this proposal, all city workers currently paid less than $20 per hour will receive at least some raise every year for all 3 years to show our appreciation for their work. Now, I'm honored today to be joined by Miss Stephanie Hart, one of our hardest working crossing guards in New Brunswick. Miss Stephanie is an excellent crossing guard who's been with the city since April of 2014. And I know how hard she works because she works on my block at the corner of Saddam and Troop, just a few blocks from here. And she really does do an excellent job of keeping that intersection safe for the hundreds of pedestrians and thousands of cars that pass through every shift. But this hard-working public employee is paid $13.50 an hour after more than 4 years of service to our city. Under the current ordinance, she's on track to get a raise to $14.50 next April, and then she'd have to work the job for another 4 years before she finally gets paid $15 an hour for her time. Under my plan, she'll be immediately given a raise to $15 per hour, and then a 50-cent raise each year for the next 2 years, because she deserves it, and so do our crossing guards. Now, all of our city workers will be earning at least $12 an hour once this ordinance is adopted, immediately. In year 2, they'll all be earning at least $13.50. And by year 3, I'm proud to say that all of our city workers will be earning no less than $15 for every hour that they serve the public. Now, this compares favorably to the governor's proposal for raising the statewide minimum wage, which includes a 4-year phase-in process that has not yet begun. For our public workers here in New Brunswick, we will do it in 3 years, with no exceptions and no carve-outs. This will set the best possible example for other communities and for our state government, so we can get the strongest bill passed to raise wages for all of our workers as soon as possible. I will also be recommending that the New Brunswick Parking Authority immediately follow a similar plan for phasing in raises for its lowest wage workers, 55 of whom made less than $15 per hour as of July 1st. At the same time, my administration will begin the work to abolish that agency and transition its core functions into a new transportation department that will be more comprehensive and more directly accountable to the residents of New Brunswick. This transition will also save our city money, much like it did in Jersey City. And along with other cost savings measures, like combining our police and fire departments into a unified public safety department, these moves will enable us to fund these important and appropriate wage increases without creating a budget imbalance or necessitating a raise in taxes. Now, let me say right here that this is only the beginning, the first of many announcements about my policies and my vision for a better New Brunswick. A New Brunswick that doesn't have a 36% poverty rate. A New Brunswick where everyone has the opportunity to make a good living and to afford to make their home here. Over the next several weeks, I'll be meeting with advocates for working people and the many unions that represent workers here to discuss other ways that we can advance these important causes and make our city a leader in labor. And you can expect to hear a lot more from me and our campaign as we move forward. Later this month, I'll be detailing my plans to bring New Brunswick's neighborhoods the parking relief that we so desperately need, and how we can eliminate our problematic parking authority for good. I hope you'll be able to join us for that. Thank you so much for being here today. Have a wonderful Labor Day, everyone. God bless.